Welcome, everybody. Welcome, welcome, welcome. And I am Coach Les, and here with just awaiting Sujata because I started late and she's just getting the link in a couple seconds, and she'll be here live with us on the video in just a moment. In the meantime, I'm just going to share a little bit about who she is and why we have this podcast. There she is. Look at that, how quick she is. Johnny on the spot. The book is Against All Odds, and the book is No Retakes, No Manuals, Real Life Lessons by Sujata. And Sujata has accumulated a wealth of experiences during her life, leading to insights and knowledge that cannot be coached or taught in a class. She is a mother, a wife, a journalist, consultant, activist, leader, and businesswoman domestically and internationally. In sharing her story, Sujata strives to provide readers of all backgrounds in any part of the world with real-life examples on how to deal with the unpredictable nature of everyday life. So I want to take a moment to say hello and have Sujata say hello. And thank you all for being here. So appreciate it. For those of you, we are streaming live on 5 different Facebook pages, my personal and a couple of business pages, YouTube, LinkedIn, Twitter, and we are also on Clubhouse on the podcast. And we're joined live by several people in the room. We've got Joanna, we've got Rose, we've got my beautiful bride, Kristen. And then there's a couple people up on stage as well. And we're here today to share with you the topic. And I'm actually going to share the topic briefly so that then as Sujata says hello, she can speak to it. And I chose this topic because in the last couple of weeks, I've been dealing with this in a business networking setting. And I am absolutely appalled at the high school attitude of some of the people that profess to be professionals in their nature of how they deal with gossip and their lack of willingness to get to the source of things. And it puts people in a predicament, people that are very straight and very by the rules, that are stuck because by the rules and when this gossip comes, they have to make choices that they may not necessarily agree with based on not knowing the full story. And for me, I look at gossip as being one of the most damaging things, especially when it's misinterpreted or when people add their own color and flair to it due to the fact of the drama that they personally may have experienced or live within. And I'm by no means perfect at all. Do I sometimes have conversations that may better be left unsaid? Yes. And my intention for some of those conversations is to discern truth that can be agreed upon with a majority and that can actually have proof that backs it up through logic, integrity, accountability, and structures that fulfill on the game at hand. And when all those pieces are put together, it is clear and beyond a reasonable doubt that people chose poorly. And that's what's so upsetting. And I can't wait to hear, Sujata, what you have to say about it. And I thank you for being my partner in this journey on these podcasts, because sometimes we're out on the skinny branches in these topics. And what I love about you is that your trust in me and willingness to step out on those skinny branches on some of these conversations that may have everybody leave the room sometimes. And too bad. And I'm sorry if it offends somebody. And whoever's listening to this on social media, wherever it is, and if you're sitting there judging and assessing me, going, how could you talk about this live? Then look in the mirror and see the impact that some of your actions have on people. The way you look at people, when people step into a conversation, the way you treat people, and you don't think it's noticed. That's appalling. So, with that, Sujata, welcome.
Thank you. This is a very interesting topic, and it happens all the time. I've seen it since childhood. I've covered it in my book, and I have so many instances which I can give. So, where do you want me to start from?
Probably something when you were young in high school,
Yes.
because it seems to me that that's where people go when they get triggered, is they go back to that first experience or that first place, and they've never been responsible for the impact since that time, and they continue to do it, and they don't even realize it because it's become like putting on a pair of slippers. They don't even realize it. And then when somebody like me steps in front of them and says, hey, wait a minute, they get all offended. Like, well, what do you mean? I've done this my whole life. I know. That's the problem. And you don't even see it, and you're not responsible, and you don't clean it up.
It's one of the things which is ingrained in society. So, I will start from childhood because that's exactly what I covered. When I was growing up, I'll start with my mother. She was very beautiful. She was a young widow with three daughters. And if ever she was seen talking with a guy, then the gossip mongers would start and say that she was having an affair. They couldn't control their husbands and they felt insecure. So they had to put it all onto the poor young widow. And it continued so much so that when I was having the romance with the boy next door, they would come and, you know, put my mother to grief and tragedy by trying to whisper that, oh, we heard rumors, which they themselves were saying, but, in third person. Oh, we understand, you are in such a situation, don't have a husband, she doesn't have a father, but you should control your daughter. you know it's being said that she's running after so and so boy and chasing him, as if the boys and men can't defend themselves, and we are such characters. But the gossip starts like that, the character assassination starts like that, the slander starts like that, and that's how you destroy somebody's reputation, you destroy somebody's whole life at times. And it can lead to such a lot of grief. Those who are not able to deal with it go through depression, suicidal things, and many such things. So this was just the appetizer which I've started with, and I shall go on to share more stories on this as we go along. Thank you.
Yeah, it's one of those things for me, um, that as an integrity coach, I have done my due diligence to get to the bottom of a story and then find out, is or does the story have validity, and considering the source and considering the source's general life, the way they are, the way they live, dress, show up, All of these things play a part when looking to see what's the purpose behind it all. And when you see in today's world, our media loves drama. And if they can take drama from a 5 to a 10 by missing or leaving out a half a sentence or leaving out part of the story, when you miss that piece of the story, it automatically, and these people know it. These people know that if they leave that part of the story out of the equation, they know that people are going to jump into the equation fired up with their hair up and attack mode. And when they prey on people that have been bullied, been ostracized, or made fun of, first and foremost, and they know that they can take advantage and they could stand and say, I didn't do anything. Are you kidding? How could you think that of me? I look at them and go, this makes you even more evil, even more crooked, even more dirty than anybody that misinterprets, because you're doing it so willingly, so knowingly, that you're subverting and causing that misrepresentation, and that you are not willing to get to the source and find out perhaps somebody had some reactions because of bullying, because of the way they looked, the way they showed up, the way they appeared, to me is despicable. And I love the fact that we get to, and we get to have this conversation. We get to show this and we get to call people out.
And
One of the, what's that?
Remy is agreeing.
Yeah. Actually, that may be the fact that my beautiful bride is pulling into the driveway, but we'll see, because the barking will continue a little heavier in a moment. Um, eh, it's so interesting though, Sujata, right? Because I understand that people want to make money, and I understand that people want to support their friends. They can't they may not be able to see that their friends made a mistake, so they're going to defend them by bullying or putting up and digging for and putting a highlight on a mistake that somebody may have made. And we all make mistakes. And in this world, who are we not to give people a second chance? It's not like there are instances that I know and have known for years where people won't even give a second chance to somebody. And it's like, have you looked in the mirror? And do you not see that you've made mistakes and along the way people have given you a second chance? Why wouldn't you honor other people and honor the people that gave you a second chance and give them a second chance? Why would you stir the pot? And I guess, the enemy's hard at work. That's all I can say to it. It's the enemy's hard at work trying to dispel somebody that is looking to stay out of the enemy's path, even though they made a mistake. Does that make sense?
Yes, it does. They never look at the mirror. That's for sure.
You know, I've shared this on stage before, and I know I don't have a great track record until 2016 with my relationships. I mean, I've been divorced 3 times, and I'm married for the fourth and final, with a big smile on my face because she's amazing and an absolute miracle. And look at this, she just brought me my celery juice that I forgot on the counter. And if if my wife listened to gossip or had listened to other people and not allowed me to share my story, because I shared everything. I shared the gory details, the things I'm not proud of, the mistakes that I've made, the judgments that I made, all of the misinterpretation that I made, especially with my first wife, who, many people would say, Les, I thought she was a miracle. She was. Well, I thought Kristen's a miracle. She is. God gave me a second miracle. Well, what about your second wife and your third wife? Aren't they miracles too? And I said, look, before you judge and assess all of that, why do I call them miracles? See, when you get interested in that, you'll understand. And both Marsha, my first wife, and Kristen are miracles. And it's a much longer story than I want to get into here, at this moment. And I'm more than happy to share. If somebody wants to know on the back channel and we can set up a conversation, I'm more than happy to share because I've shared it from stage before. What is there for me, though, is if Kristen had looked at and not been interested in my side of the story as well as the misinterpreted gossip side, we wouldn't be together. Instead, she looked at who I am and the fact that I owned my mistakes. I cleaned it up. Not only that, I cleaned it up with my first wife, such that she asked me for coaching with her and her current husband because the shoe was on the other foot about 4 years later when she was married to him. And he went from not liking me and, because of the stuff that I did to her, to liking me and thanking me because he found out who I was when I caused their marriage to come back together. And that's what's possible. And was there a lot of poop? Yes, there was. And did I misinterpret? Of course I did. That's what had us break up. And I can't tell you the number of the times that even now, with my beautiful wife, I misinterpret. I make mistakes. And I come with my tail between my legs and apologize. And the great thing is that I found a beautiful lady that will also take a look and go, here's what I can be responsible for, and own that. And that's what to me says this is how the world could work. Not pointing the fingers, rather looking at how can we be responsible. Even if the other person takes the responsibility, we can all look and see this is a piece as well. This is a piece as well. And see what miracles can be created from that. And when we hear gossip, being responsible for restoring integrity and asking people and saying, have you spoken to the person about this? Have you found out? Have you checked the validity? So over to you, Sujata. I'm going to chug.
Very well said. And like I gave a small uh, appetizer, so that is going forward. I've seen that in the workplace also, where the heads of the organization listen to gossip, and after listening to gossip without hearing and without assessing a situation logically, they even fire people, they take away their jobs or put them in a spot where either I fire you or you leave. That also I have witnessed firsthand. And as part of that, they actually question the peers about the person. Instead of talking directly to the person, they question the peers, make them to say things which they did not mean to and did not want to. And years later, the person who contributed to the firing of the person has the guilt and apologizes years later. So I've even had that experience. And I'll hear from the others, then I'll share my ultimate piece of gossip at the end. Case study.
Mm. I just want to share with those that are listening, Namalokai, who's somebody that I met on the app here. Um, uh, and if you look her up and you want to find her, it's Namelokai, Namalokai. Has a story that moved me to my heart, coming from an African country where mutilation of women happened and gossip happened and all manner of excuses for why it's done and it can be done and blah blah blah. And I want to just share, because she reached out and said hi on Facebook. For those of you looking for a cause to support, reach out to Namalakai. The cause and what she's up to in the world, making a difference for women of Africa, is one that will cause you to pause. And you won't even believe it continues and exists in today's society anywhere in the world. And she's a walking miracle. And I just had to take a moment to shout out to her, Sujata, because she's gone up against so many odds. And she's a person that people, once again, people clamored to, right? Because her story is so pulling. And yet when it came push that time, and I can't remember how the saying goes, when push came to shove, there were some people that ghosted her. And when I heard that and heard the heartbreak in her from people that were quote unquote charging as she was this brilliant light, and then something happened, and they vanished. And I look at that and go, beware, people. Beware of the people that are like moths to a flame. And then when you go for support, or it's time for people to share back and forth and community to support each other, that they're nowhere to be found and the authenticity is zero. And I think in this conversation today, as we share this, and I'd like to take the conversation. I know there's a couple people on stage that may want to say something about it. I know Sister Jeanette and Brother Joey, just because from the back channel, over the decades, over the year, the months, I know some of their story and some of how they are. I know they will have some great things to contribute to this. But as I always do, I'm going to go in PTR and just offer up the microphone. And as I do this, To anybody, I'm always inviting people to the stage on Clubhouse, just because I want people to know that they're free to come up anytime. I give everybody the little green bean because I don't ever want anybody to think that there's anybody more special than another. We're all amazing, miraculous people. So with that, I'd love to see if, Ginger, did you want to contribute anything? Did you want to say anything?
Oh, goodness. Like Sujata, I have so many stories. Which one do you want me to pick from? But I think that what comes to mind is I'll kind of go with the flow. And because the first thing that really does come to mind is childhood. Because you think, when is the first time that gossip entered into your life? And the first thing I thought of was, gossip is a thief. And I've learned that throughout the years. It is meant to tear down and to destroy. And I had a situation one time where we had moved and I was a freshman in high school. So, I'm nervous anyway because, hey, I'm a freshman. Even if I've been going to the same school forever, I was still a freshman and had to deal with upperclassmen. So I was a greenie and new to this school, and I'm telling you, on my very first day, I'm thinking everything's going great. Hey, people are acknowledging me, they're introducing themselves, and that's just great. So right after lunch, I'll never forget when we take a restroom break, and I went to wash my hands, and I looked up, and I was essentially surrounded by 3 upper class ladies. Like I said, classmen. Hey. And I said, "Oh, hi. My name's Ginger. I'm new." And the one said, "Yeah, we know who you are." All right. I'm thinking, well, this is going good. Yeah, it was not so good of a situation. She said, "Yeah, I hear that you like my boyfriend." And I said, "Are you talking to me or the girl next to me?" And I'm looking around and thinking, this is not going so well. Yeah, they were talking to me. And I said, "Well, first of all, I'm a little bit unclear as to who your boyfriend is. You might want to clarify." So, I just didn't know what to say, and she said, "Oh, you know who it is." And she was getting closer to me, and I thought, oh my gosh, I've seen this in a movie. And that's when I really started getting nervous. And I said, "Well, I really don't, but if you want to help me out, maybe I can." She was like, "You need to stop talking and know that his name," she threw his name out, "is taken, and don't you even look his way." And I said, "Okay." At that moment, I just said, "Message received," just to save my life. I was having all these imaginations of being beat up and hung in the bathroom stall, and what you see on the movies. But they just walked out, and I thought, okay. So I walked out into the hallway, and I thought, I don't even know who this guy is. What if I look at this guy? They're going to come and get me. And so I became friends with this one girl, and I threw it out there. I said, "Do you know this name?" And she told me, and she said, "Oh, yeah. You don't want to go there." I was like, "I don't want to go there. I want to make sure I avoid this person 100%. And so essentially what had happened, later somebody came up and told me that he liked me. We're freshmen, okay? That's how it goes. Everybody there, they just gossip. One piece of information, and it just seems to be passed around, and it's all distorted and misconstrued. And I said, "Well, I'm definitely not interested. You can let them know, and thank you." And just trying to avoid it at all costs. So I thought, I avoided that. I hadn't even set up my reputation yet, you see, and it was already starting to be torn down. And we were at a dance not too long after that, and here comes the bully girl that I was talking about. I said, "Oh my gosh." She came over and she goes, "Hey," I'll never forget. She actually apologized to me. She goes, "Oh, I just want to," and it took her a minute to say it. She's like, "I just want to say I'm sorry. I knew you weren't interested in my boyfriend. Come to find out it was him." And I'm sorry everything got crossed the way it did. And then she said, so she broke up with him and actually wanted to be my friend. And so, I just kind of, oh, yeah, that's great. But she broke up with him because it was him. And I still wasn't interested in that guy. And I never would be. And it's a shame because you never know if you convey that to real life. If you meet somebody, you never know what direction that could go. But of course, being a freshman is not going to go that great anyway. But it was the whole point that, like I said, I hadn't even established myself as here's who I am, and I would never do something like that. But I have to say, I thought it was really cool that she did apologize to me. But that just kind of set the tone in my life about, careful. You just had to be a little bit more careful about yourself. And I just think it's sad. And that's why I think, when you said the topic was on gossip, gossip is a thief, period. So that's the only one I'll talk about right now, this Ginger.
Thank you so much, Ginger. And boy, oh boy, how perfect, right? That is, it's just, there's something about that whole process and that whole place where one crumb can lead to such horror. And and I thank you. I thank you for sharing that story. And with that, Jeanette, how are you this afternoon? Are you able to share with us?
Good afternoon, Coach. Yes, I was listening. You brought up so many topics. There's just so many things going through my head right now. One of the things that I have to point out to people is, or I have to ask them, do you watch reality TV? Because if you do, that's where you're being brainwashed. All this a need for gossip, where do you think it comes from? You've created an environment to put your mindset in, to put it in the gutter. You did this to yourself. Now you have this mindset that you need to gossip. You need to get other people excited about information or possible misinformation. So that's where it comes from. We have to be thankful for reality TV. I don't watch a lot of reality TV. I don't think I watch any of it. Everything's reality TV, though. You watch the news. That is not reality TV. And many times I have to correct people about what they believe. It's not even what they hear. They believe every word as truth. And of course, what do? I pull out the resources and I show them where they're wrong. Now, here's why I say they put themselves in the gutter. For all the times that I show them resources that are 100% true, so here's where you can find the facts. Oh, that's not true. So they'd rather believe the gossip than to believe the fact. And I will tell you, probably majority of the people I know are in that place where you can't even show them truth, or you can't even show them what is real, because they choose to believe what is untrue and what is gossip. That provides excitement in their life. So maybe that is one of the things that has to be addressed in for the coaches. They put themselves in that mindset where they can't even believe what is true anymore. They put them around people that are like them rather than people that are leveled up so they can continually excel. And that's where what has fallen through the wayside. I used to be on debate team. I used to be on a mock trial. I couldn't go out there and present anything that was false. I had to go to the resources. I had to look it up. I had to argue the point. I had to make sure that I anticipate what the other side was going to oppose. I had to be prepared. And here, nowadays, all you have to do is learn more gossip so you could be sharing in all the gossip. So you can be part of the gossip crowd. That is what I see today. That is, as I sit back and watch, that is how I perceive it. And when you're trying to tell them truth and they say, oh, that's not true, it's a wonder. It's a wonder in the direction that people are carrying themselves and carrying them towards. That's my share. This is Jeanette, and I'm complete.
Jeanette, thank you. Thank you so much. I couldn't agree more. You hit some beautiful topics, beautiful points, and thanks. Yeah, and I'm not sure an answer to this other than awareness and creating a space for people to find something else to be excited about. So with that, Joey, are you available?
I am, but I have no idea what you guys are talking about, and I'm driving through some pretty heavy rain.
Oh, gossip. We're talking about gossip and the killer of gossip.
Yeah.
And how damaging it can be. How damaging it can be.
Yeah, I mean, the only thing I'll say about gossip is, but it has to be something that people must love and crave, because over the years, the networking TV has created so many shows that have these reality TV shows that have nothing to do with anything but gossip and other people's lives and stories and half truths and people going crazy. So that's the only thing I know about. Well, I know a lot about gossip, but the love of gossip and how the American culture is drawn to these shows. Not everyone, of course, right? But they must be doing well because, from what I understand, they have shows created. They've created so many different kind of shows. Whether it's Real Housewives or whatever they've started other shows on top of those shows. So that's all I've got to add to the conversation. But it's driving. The rain is coming down really hard here, so I need to pay attention.
All right. Well, thanks for being with us, Joey, and thanks for taking a moment. You said something that I think is hilarious. There are shows about the shows now.
Yeah, because they couldn't get enough gossip.
Yeah. The after shows, and then the after shows, and then there's another guy that has a show that interviews the people after the after show, and it's nuts. It's insane. And how do I know this? Because there might be people in my household that watch these shows.
and it's so funny because I mean maybe it's my lifestyle, maybe it's my life, but I look at those shows and I go, why do I need to watch these shows? My life is full of this stuff. Every time I turn around, it's going on in real life. Why do I need to watch a TV show? Right, Jeanette?
It makes you sound like a real honest or real life I Love Lucy character. Lucy? Instead we say Coach.
No, too funny. Sujata, anything you want to add?
I have lots to add.
Go for it.
So I'm going to take out the fun out of it and show the seriousness of what gossip can do. And I will go back. I was just opening my pages, but I don't need to open the pages of my book. I have it by heart. So you see, when my daughter got raped and we were ostracized, nobody talked to us, but they were talking. But they were talking amongst themselves, they were talking about us, and they were talking to the wrong people. For example, you live in a building and you don't come to the victim and her family for support, but you go and ask the security guard, did it really happen? Okay? When you know that it was a security guard who raped the victim who stays in the building, your salary is paid by the people of the building. You hobnob with them and ask them, did it happen? You ask the cleaners who clean the building about, what happened, how did it happen, and all that. And this aspect is so known to everybody that the rapist, much before he did the act, he had already set up a gossip situation where he had spread the word that, my daughter used to come back habitually drunk, etc., used to vomit in the lift. When there was no proof, and knowing fully well that CCTV cameras are there, and yet the people chose to gossip about it. And who's responsible for all that slander of character assassination that goes on? So much so that taxi drivers who were plying people from those 15,000 residents who stayed in our locality, they would discuss this and say, do you know this happened, and it was actually the girl who came on to the guard, and now he's being punished and penalized for it. It went all the way up to court, where the defense lawyer said that it was consensual sex, etc., etc. So you can see where it goes. It's not it's not a small matter, and there are no laws to treat what happens. So it's a serious thing. It can do serious stuff to people if they are not very strong enough to deal with it. I was strong enough to deal with it. Not everybody is. Imagine what it would have cost a person who was already taking a difficult decision to go to court to deal with this. That's why people don't go to court, and that's why they don't report. Because who's going to live with the aftermath of society gossip? I rest my case.
And I think, and Sujata, I think what you just shared is the epitome of it, right? And people go, oh, well, this isn't as big a deal as what Sujata just shared. And it's like, no, don't, that is not the way to look at this. The way to look at this is every single little crumb of gossip is a brick in the wall that created this entire castle from which Sujata had to pull the bricks down and destroy the castle to get inside to find the culprit and have the culprit face the charges. So when people hear this, and somebody says, well, the gossip I'm talking about isn't that damaging. Are you kidding me? You have no idea of the repercussions of the gossip. Some of the gossip I've been talking about today, people have contemplated suicide over it because they're so disgraced by it. They start to question their own sanity and their own view of it. Like, maybe I was the one at fault. Like, what? Are you kidding me?
Well, Coach, it's very much more serious than that because people have committed suicide over gossip.
Yeah.
And look, what is gossip? It's carrying on a conversation or a report about other people. You're talking about other people and they're not in front of you, and you are fabricating facts and construing details that can be confirmed as not being true. That is gossip. Anytime you mention somebody's name and they are not standing in front of you, you are gossiping. Anytime you even compliment someone and they're not present, that's considered gossip. Because sometimes people do that with ill intent just to make them look good.
Yes.
They talk about like the church ladies, well, you didn't hear it from me, but let me tell you, and so that's what gossip is. And if you want to teach other people about how not to gossip, they have to learn what it is first, because they look at gossip now as they live their life as if it's okay. It's an everyday thing. It is an everyday thing and an everyday occurrence. But the consequences can be deadly. And that's the problem. This is Jeanette, and I'm complete.
Yes, Janet, that's precisely the point, that, we think that it is just a minor thing. It's not. And when people commit suicide, who's responsible? And people just get away with it, right? Because there are no laws to hold you accountable. That's the sad part.
Well, we do in the United States, called defamation. So we do have that in our legal system.
I don't feel anyone uses it, though, that should be using it. Just because I've experienced stuff myself, but I guess I'm not like an important person in the world per se, But like my sister, who does hold a high position, she experienced it because she got this role as the first person to ever get this role, and it's a Congress. She left the government thing, but she works on Capitol Hill, but she is the first Asian to Temple University, and the Democratic representative, one of them from Philadelphia's wife wanted it, and he put her in health. I think he still does, but it's more controlled, but just it sounded horrible, and it needed to be. And I was like, that sounds like defamation, what he's doing, because he's really spreading a lot of stuff to a lot of people. It's making you look bad, probably, and she didn't want to do anything. I don't know.
It's really hard, Alyssa, though. I think one of the things that people don't understand, and this is, when we take a look at this podcast and who my partner is, and what it took, when you read the book Against All Odds and you listen to what Sujata had to do as Mama Bear to fight the system, to go against the gossip. And by the way, what she is continuing to do, even though they won the case, even though all of this is now in the past, and she is still having to be on the board of directors for this complex to make sure that her other daughter is safe, because it's such a crooked system. And when you think about this, I look at it and there are so many more important things in the world to spend our time on than to gossip. And the misinterpretation causes war. Go ahead, Alyssa.
I believe that I experience it still on the stupid app, and sometimes I just want to leave, but not but I don't want to because of the the 24/7, and
in other places I am learning stuff, in certain good clubs, but I'm still like someone put in the chat a moth to a flame, and I feel like I'm that flame, and no matter what, my presence anywhere will draw a moth like that. And it's been like that over a year, and it doesn't stop. And I don't know if that's telling me if it's just gonna be a rough life if I pursue what I want to pursue, or I don't know. It's just troubling,
It is, Alyssa. It definitely is. And I think people are so unaware of the impact. If they knew, if they put their own daughter or their own mother or their own father or their own son into the situation, would they then see? Would they then start to understand?
I don't think they would ever do that if you ask them to do that. If you kill them with kindness, which I'm trying to do with a colleague person that I do stuff with in comedy on here, he doesn't get it. I know he has, maybe he does have like a social, autism and whatnot, but that's no reason to go after me. It's not. I'm a person that does nothing here. Like, is it my becoming a comedian too that is bothering them? Is it my looks? Is it, just tell me? Like, I think I even said that, and I said, I tell you, like, you come 1,000% over the past year. You're doing great, and how does that turn into, I don't know, just real jabs at me, and then if I will tell jokes, it'll go over his head, like, I think, and people laugh. I think that people get jealous if they don't understand something. It's so many little things, but now it's spreading to people who are great, good people, and it's not, it never stops. Something's always going on once something ends. And I don't know if it's the app is just very evil or what is the thing,
Well, remember, it's never the app. It's the people that come on it. It's never the security people. It's never the police force. It's the people that make up these. And oftentimes part of the gossip is the fact that one bad apple becomes the entire basket of apples when people communicate. I mean, I don't know about where everybody else lives in the US and what they deal with. I happen to live in the city where the George Floyd absolutely abhorrent incident happened, regardless. And yet, what happened after that is so much more deplorable. The retaliation on other police, on innocents, on innocent buildings, on innocent shop owners. Watching people live, owners, Black owners of small businesses, tears running down their face. How could you do this? I'm you. Well, no, you're a Tommy. Well, no, I'm not. I'm you. Look at my background. Have you done the research to find out who I am and where I came from? And then to see the absolute disrespect to the entire police force, the entire legal system, such that between certain hours and certain hours in downtown Minneapolis, one of what I would have called the safe cities of the United States, my friends and I don't go anywhere near it due to the fact the police stay away. They don't answer calls. They don't answer robberies, beatings, rapes. They stay away between certain hours. And why is that? Because the fear for their life based on the gossip that has gotten out of hand and the misinterpretation of saying one bad apple is everyone. And oh, well, wait a minute. There are Black police officers, Chinese, Korean, Somali police officers, and they're all lumped into that because of the actions of one white police officer that went against the rules and broke the rules and committed murder. Now, what good is that doing society?
I know we can be moving forward from our mistakes.
Yeah.
Instead, someone put in the chat a verse that just explains our issue. The Bible tells us that a perverse man stirs up dissension, and a gossip separates close friends.
Yes.
So that ruins stuff where you can see the problem, fix it, which I just tried to do recently over the past day, and I get books of this person who is out of their mind apparently, and I won't even read it. I because it's absurd, and I can't understand why someone would wanna, first of all, make something up, tear somebody down that helps the organization and bringing numbers in, and I don't get it. I don't get it at all. And in the country and in small things and big things, I don't understand. It's evil. It's evil demons or something. I don't know at work.
Well, I want to just say hello to, thanks, Alyssa, by the way. I just want to say hello to Chris Booker, who just stepped up on stage. Chris, great to see you. Thanks for joining in. We'd love to have you be our last contribution for today. And just to let everybody know, we will be bringing this topic right back into tomorrow's podcast. But because you're here, Chris, I'd love to hear anything that you have to share with us. So the microphone is yours, and there's your little green bean.
Hello, Coach. It's been a long time. It's been some time, brother. I hope you are doing well. Thank you so much for always being so hospitable. I like your rooms. It's always just so warm. But I have no idea. I heard some briefly what you're explaining about actions of others, which is unfortunate, right?
Well, it's here. Let me just give you the one statement that will clarify all of it for you and give you a whole world. Gossip, how damaging can it be, especially with misinterpretation?
Wow. But it's dual-sorted. It's double-edged, right?
Yes.
Because here's the thing, right? Those who are speaking it is one side, and then those listening to it and then acting on it, that says a lot about the character of the person. Like,
Check.
shouldn't you find out firsthand the legitimacy of it, or the so I don't know. It's one of those things. I don't have time for that in my life. I have so many other things going on. I can't even get my own life together. Well, I can't. I'm just, you know what I mean? Like, I have too many things to concentrate on and worry about gossip. But an interesting talking point, to say the least.
Oh, Chris, unless maybe Sujata can confirm this, but I think you're the only person right now that has focused on this. And it's actually, I just wrote, are you listening and encouraging gossip? Because as a listener, even though you may be in your head going, I can't believe this person's gossiping, my question for you is, hello, you're listening to it. So, Chris, you just hit the nail on the head for tomorrow's show. I'm super excited because that's tomorrow's piece, and I think it's the piece that people, look, I'm not a gossiper. I'm not, and they throw their hands up like all pious and proper, and I don't gossip. And it's like, are you listening to it? Well, yeah, I maybe.
Yeah.
So what a beautiful, thank you so much for bringing the whipped cream and the cherry and the spoon.
And you brought the green beans. Man, we're fed.
Go, Ginger. Well,
You're the only person I know of that calls it green beans, and every time you speak, it makes me hungry. But I was raised Southern Baptist, so like I say, we'd always have a potluck after our talk. So I'm just used to that Southern hospitality. We brought the corn pudding, so
woo!
Great.
I love it. I love it. Sweet tea. Well, thank you, everybody. I am just so tickled. I so appreciate each and every one of you. I'm just so grateful for my co-host, Sujata. Rotimi, thank you so much for being here with us in the room, joining us and hanging out. I just became your first follower. So I'm not sure. So for the rest of the room, I think just the fact that Rotimi's been here for an hour, everybody on Clubhouse reach down and give Rotimi a little digital currency. And thank you so much for being in the room. So my beautiful bride, thank you. Thanks for listening. Thanks for always being supportive. Jennifer, Dawn, Rose, and Dr. Jessica, thank you so much for being in the listening lounge. Without listeners, we wouldn't have a show. And for those of you on stage, Chris Booker, it is so great to see you. I do hope I'll see more of you. And please come back. And Alyssa, always a pleasure. Thank you for your gift. Jeanette, my sister, my musketeer. Joey, my brother, my musketeer. Ginger, thank you so much. And I'm just grateful for each and every one of you. And we look forward to being back here tomorrow at 4 p.m. Central Standard. And for those of you that may not be able to make it tomorrow, we'll be back here on Friday at 9 p.m. or 9:30, Sujata?
9:30.
At 9:30 p.m. Central Standard Time. And somebody may say, well, how come so late? Why didn't you do it at the same time, Coach? Because I let Sujata sleep in so that she doesn't have to wake up at the crack of dawn since she's on the other side of the planet. And it also gives some of us a little bit of a fun Friday night and an opportunity to sometimes continue the room after the broadcast shuts down. So if you can make it Friday, awesome. If you can make it back tomorrow, or if you can make it next week, we'd love your support. And thanks to each and every one of you. And with that, I am going to do the fun, fancy see ya sayonara and end the broadcast, and then wish everybody a farewell and do my explosive explosion to close the room on Clubhouse.
Coaching with Les has doubled my practice.
We've increased our sales by about 33%, blowing all of our goals out of the water.
In my first 6 months, I actually grew my business with his help over 500%. Literally 500%.
Les Hill is the type of person that invests back in you and back into your company. So if you're looking for a business coach with integrity, choose Les Hill.